The News Line.
Hello and welcome back to People's TV. In today's video commentary, we highlight yet another shocking reality unfolding inside the Gaza Strip. A single glance at these frames makes the situation clear. The location is none other than East Rafah, an area that has now become symbolic of the deep corruption and betrayal hidden behind the banners of international relief. The vehicles captured here are not ordinary. They are clearly marked on the top with large, bold letters that anyone viewing from the air can recognize. The markings identify them as belonging to the United Nations or UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. These labels are intended to guarantee safety, neutrality, and protection. Yet what we see here tells a very different story, one of collusion, manipulation, and deception carried out under the shield of an organization that claims to stand for peace. This footage uncovers several critical facts. UNRWA employees appear to maintain direct connections with Hamas operatives. Despite repeated denials by UN officials, the evidence contradicts their statements. For years, the UN has assured the world of its neutrality and independence, claiming to provide aid without aligning with armed groups. Yet these scenes leave little room for doubt. The evidence demonstrates clear and deliberate cooperation between UNRWA personnel and Hamas terrorists. Look closely at what follows. The camera reveals a building prominently marked with the letters UN on its roof. A terrorist calmly walks toward a vehicle parked in front of that building. He is not hiding, not in a rush, not afraid. He carries an AK-47, which he then places directly into the UN-marked vehicle. This single act speaks volumes. It exposes the extent to which the UN has compromised its mission. What should have been a symbol of relief and protection has instead become a shield for violence and terror. The scene underscores a profound betrayal of the principles of peace and harmony that the United Nations was created to uphold. The footage does not stop there. Even more disturbing, the same terrorists are later seen opening fire on a civilian. In a previous commentary, we explained that it is not the IDF who targets civilians seeking aid, but Hamas gunmen themselves. This new footage serves as undeniable evidence of that claim. Ordinary people, already suffering from poverty, displacement, and war, are being shot at by the very group that claims to defend them. Israeli intelligence has long warned of this connection, identifying Hamas operatives who openly draw salaries from UNRWA. Yet these warnings were dismissed as political rhetoric, ignored by much of the international community. The images now circulating from East Rafah reinforce those findings beyond question. They prove that UNRWA and Hamas are not separate entities operating independently, but deeply intertwined structures that share resources, facilities, and even personnel. The implications of these revelations are devastating. Every nation that contributes funds to UNRWA must now reckon with the fact that their money may be enabling terror rather than relief. Every government that defends the UN's neutrality must face the reality that neutrality no longer exists in Gaza. What the world is witnessing is not an aid agency providing humanitarian support, but an institution that has allowed itself to become a cover for terrorism. The verdict is clear. UNRWA has betrayed the very people it claims to serve, and it has betrayed the trust of the global community. The evidence leaves no room for denial, no space for excuses, and no ground for half-hearted justifications. What we see here is the UN's relief agency transformed into an accomplice of Hamas. The facts are undeniable, and the world must confront them. The connection goes even deeper. The entrances to tunnels maintained and used by these terrorists are located within the UN-owned buildings we just discussed. As highlighted in previous videos, these tunnels run not only under civilian infrastructure such as hospitals and residential buildings, but also beneath UN offices and warehouses. This footage further confirms that UNRWA and Hamas are operating in close coordination, sharing both space and resources for purposes that contradict the very mission of humanitarian aid. A closer look reveals that some individuals are wearing face masks, allowing them to operate as UNRWA relief workers and Hamas terrorists simultaneously without being recognized. The question arises, should we allow ourselves to be misled or defeated repeatedly even after witnessing this evidence? While radical Islamists may align with Hamas propaganda, the focus must shift to non-Muslims who protest blindly against Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. What do they have to say about these videos, which clearly show collaboration between a so-called humanitarian agency and a terrorist organization? The international community must hold the UN accountable in light of this video footage. Those occupying the highest positions within the organization should be brought before international criminal courts and tried for their crimes against humanity. These acts are being carried out using taxpayers' money from around the world, by an institution that is supposed to promote peace and provide aid to those in need. The footage makes it unmistakably clear how the UN is abusing these funds to protect terrorists and advance their agenda rather than serve humanity. Already, a UN officer has called for an investigation into the financial abuses within the organization. This is no longer just the United Nations, it has become, in effect, the United Terrorists. This pattern is not new. For years, the UN has protected and supported terrorists around the world. That is why we emphasize that the IDF must confront these terrorists not only on the ground but also in the battle of propaganda, as many European leaders and institutions continue to accept and spread false narratives against Israel and, ultimately, against humanity itself. In conclusion, we take this opportunity to challenge the radical Islamists who believe they can deceive the entire world with their false propaganda. While many people have accepted their lies, the truth cannot be hidden forever. At People's TV, we are committed to working day and night to expose these deceptions. If necessary, we will take the message to the streets as well, ensuring that the world sees the reality behind the claims and the evidence revealed in these videos. If this report helped you see the situation on the ground clearly, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to People's TV, where truth has no agenda, and facts speak louder than spin.
Subscribe us for more details.